everybody to episode 21, I believe.
Oh, the big 2-1. Let's go.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
We are now legally able to drink alcohol, apparently.
Woo! Let's let it be known. However, I'm devoid of it today. I'm trying to stay healthy. I'm watching my figure.
Oh, nice, nice. Yeah. This episode is going to be interesting.
Why's that?
Because we spoke about this series that we're going to talk about today throughout the entire, I think it was spring season of anime.
Oh, yeah.
And on many different episodes. And I think now we're going to kind of do our, deep dive and do we think it should continue and stuff like that.
That's a good way to put it, because if you have been listening to the podcast for a while now, you may have heard my opinions on a certain show called Wise Man's Grandchild, or
Kinjo Mago, or something like that.
And it was, as someone who really does like isekais a lot, it was something that kind of came on my radar, and I started watching it, and it really felt lackluster at first. And then eventually I was like, you know what, Ethan? For you, for them, I'll bite the bullet, and I will watch the rest of it. It's only 12 episodes, so it's not like it was a huge commitment. But I have thoughts on it. I have more thoughts on it now, and I think it's worth diving into. So what else are we doing today outside of that?
Yes, and then the second part of the episode will be an overrated, or underrated. That's the way we wrote it. Genos from One Punch Man.
The demon cyborg himself.
Right. So that should be interesting. But I did want to start off with a question to you about Kinjo Mago.
Okay. Hit me.
At 12 episodes, did you think this should have been 24 episodes?
As much as I didn't, you know what? Opinions aside, I think it should have been 24 episodes. I really do.
Yeah. To me, when I got there, I was like, there's more, right? Like,
there seems to be pacing issues with the 12, but
no. I think it was fine, honestly, for 12, but nothing really, stuff occurred, but I didn't feel like we progressed enough in 12 episodes to be like, season 1 done.
Right. It felt like the entire season was a tutorial level of a game. It never felt like you accomplished a mission or anything was really solved or overcome purposefully. So for those of you at home that have not ever seen or heard the show, or have heard of it and never watched it, let's give them a rundown. So what do we got? Where do we start out at?
Yeah, so the very first scene, basically, you come to find there's this guy in Tokyo, salaryman. He dies, gets hit by a bus or something.
Or Truck-kun.
Yeah, truck Sundere truck kills him.
Yes.
And then he somehow, I don't know, they didn't explain how exactly, but his essence or soul or whatever gets transported into a baby that also had just died in this other world. Hence the isekai.
There it is. And first off the start of the show, usually there's some kind of mechanic behind how someone else gets to another world, even if it's teleported by somebody, or even in Konosuba, he dies, but then the goddess Aqua is in charge of ushering these people into a new world. The mechanic is there, and I think that's your first and foremost you need in an isekai. Just kind of no explanation, sorry. It already felt a little lackluster to me, but this Shin fella.
But I will say, I think Konosuba does that better than most shows. I don't think a lot of shows give you a satisfactory answer as to how it happened.
That's actually very true.
So I wouldn't knock it for that, though. Like I said, they give you exactly zero information related to that. So then basically this baby is picked up by, we think, these two elderly people.
Just some nice forest folk.
Yeah, walking by this incident that this kid and his family had died in, and they hear this baby whining, so they go pick him up, and they, I guess, proceed to raise him as their own kid.
They really do kind of just they're really just this baby, it's going to die out here. What do we do? It's just ours now, I guess. It's normal kind of, hey, I found a baby, you're destined for greatness, I guess. So we're gonna have you. so so these two older folk, are they forest dwellers? Who are they? What's their shtick?
Yeah, they're just randos.
They're just randos.
Yeah.
All right, yeah. So this is a boring, this is a boring isekai. Nothing special ever happens, but in reality, who they actually are, some of this world's finest magicians and mages. Like they are the top of the rung. Like they're the cream of the crop. It's Merlin, and what's her name? They just call her the Guru a lot.
No, it's like Merlida or something.
Merlinda or something like that. Everyone calls this old man basically Wise Man, hence the name Wise Man's Grandchild. Whoa. And then there's the Guru, and they are basically raising this boy. And as they're raising Shin Wolford.
Yeah, so the reason that they're considered the Wise Man and the Guru, earlier on, before all this had occurred, there was this demonoid crisis. And so what that basically means, in this world, there's like base level demon that inhabit like animals and crap like that, right? Well, in this specific scenario, a demonoid means someone who was a human became infected with demon demon crap, and started going on a rampage.
Hard crazed, filled, running amok, essentially.
And they were kind of called on to go, dispose of this demon, and they ended up doing that, and then going on from there. Basically that country then owed them a great debt of service, like obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the whole Wise Man kind of moniker comes from, and Guru as well. And his Merlin, what? Why are you looking at me like that?
Merlin's. I just had a thought about demonoids, which we'll come back to the demonoids later because I have some thoughts on them. But we have Merlin.
Yeah, Merlin's like kind of an attack magic, transportation magic kind of specialist, and she, Merlita, I swear that's her name.
Yeah, Merlita. I'm gonna call her Merlita. Whatever, Grandma Merlita.
Yeah, as you can tell, the names were not compelling.
Not even a little bit.
I mean, it's also been a bit for me. I watched it when it came out, and I think it's like 3 months ago now, or 2.
It's been not even been an hour for me. It's already been forgettable. But
yeah. So anywho, she kind of, her specialty is imbuing magic into like threads and like into armor and stuff like that.
She's the world-renowned specialist at this specifically.
I forget what they call it.
Magical gear, essentially. Yeah. Just anything that has been endued with magical powers that is considered magical gear. So these old random folks, they're no slouches. There's some of, if not the best in the entire land.
Right.
And Shin Wolford's getting raised by these two elite masterclass magicians. And as they come to find out, he himself is quite the magician.
Hey, something of a prodigy.
Yeah, more than a prodigy even. He is such a powerhouse that they feared letting him loose on the country at large. They basically sheltered him, trained him in magic and swordplay till he was 15. And at 10, he himself killed a demonoid at the wee ripe age of 10.
I don't think it was a demon. I think it was like a little...
It was like a bear, right?
Yeah, it was like a higher level demon, but not a demonoid.
Not demonoid. Okay, yeah, so it's like animals can also be demons, but they are nothing to scoff at. So that's why Merlin freaked. He was just like, whoa, my kid's a freaking genius.
Right, so what you don't know in the beginning is like this is super hard and super rare.
Yeah.
That even like just one person could kill him. Like... When you kind of move on through the series, you see how they built up their armies and like the different divisions of it. And it normally takes like a full division of like 4 swordsmen and backup like magicians to even take on something of this size. And, Shin kills it by himself. So what is very interesting about this form of isekai is he's reborn as this baby, but he retains all of his old, his 26-year-old or whatever he was,
right?
Knowledge, and that includes physics, science, math, all those kinds of things. And as a power system, it's sort of interesting because to all the people that are in the world, like science doesn't exist to them. They only know magic.
Right.
But he comes into a world of magic with his science knowledge and is able to combine both of them and become this crazy prodigy.
Now, let it be known that in the past, I have said that this particular aspect of this show was a huge turnoff for me. And the reason why I said it before was...
Because you're wrong.
Oh, my God. But no, I didn't feel very... I don't know, satisfying for the power fantasy in this world to be utilizing what I would say we would consider high school level knowledge on science to be so powerful that he's actually like could sway the balance of power throughout the entirety of this world, not just the kingdom. I have since kind of turned on that after watching the entire first season. It kind of dampened the blow of me saying, oh, this is dumb, when I realized that it's kind of as you were saying, so, okay, fine, you were right, Ethan, whatever. That
the fact that you've just figured this out now is just so surprising to me.
Just they did not translate it well in the first couple of episodes before I stopped. And then I watched it today, I'm like, okay.
Trust me when I say things.
We do have degrees, but we do have academic debates.
I've literally never been wrong.
That's not true. So no,
don't fact check that.
No. So what made it okay, I think, for me is that it really was an exposure thing. It's not that these people in this world are dumb. Once they finally, it took them a while to grasp this stuff, and the audience might be like, well, yeah, obviously that's how fire burns, or, oh yeah, obviously this is how this would work. But we're coming from a perspective of a world that he came from. So it didn't really feel compelling initially, but then as everyone...
I think some of the lower level things, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But when he started talking about like compression and stuff like that...
And anti-gravity later,
right,
I'm like, okay.
It starts to get like a little more high level, interesting, like science related as well.
Right.
Because I mean, like I would probably think of something like that, but if you're not an engineer or you're not a scientist,
you wouldn't wouldn't know that.
So it was a little weird that a salaryman came out of, I don't know, their education system over there is obviously better than ours.
Top notch.
My lord.
But yeah, so, after Merlin and the guru, because Melinda, whatever, once his pseudo-grandparents realize what he is, and yet he has been invited to go to a magical academy in the capital of this kingdom of Earlshied, they basically... The one other thing I was kind of upset about is that it never really taught him common sense or his place contextually in the world.
Right.
They never really told him that, like, they should have grabbed him by his face before he went and says, you are literally the nuclear option in this world. In a world that's essentially living in medieval times, you are the nuclear option. Please be careful. And he was never told this.
Well, he doesn't know what the nuclear option even means.
Right. He's like...
Or the rest of them don't, I mean.
True. So no equivalent. Like, you are so strong that if the military got their hands on you, which later they do tell him, but initially they just never give him the common sense to give him some kind of context. So, again, I can't really blame Shin for not having common sense because he doesn't have any other kind of context. So he goes to this school.
Well, and I think a lot of it just in general had to do with them not just straight up telling him, hey, we're like really big heroes and we're stronger than everyone else. So the fact that you're kind of on par with us should tell you something.
Right.
Also, your uncle, yeah, he's the king of this war.
Yeah.
And then, those two, like big bro, big sis. Yeah, those are the heads of the sword
academy and the like mage academy. Is that what that was?
They're two different types of knight.
Right. Okay. Yeah, you're right. And then he's
taught by the number one swordsman in the entire land.
That was what I was gonna say.
All these things, and they don't really. Oh, sorry. Those two are the King's Guard.
You're right.
King's
You're
Guard.
right. Okay.
And so, like, super not Shin's fault, and like even as like a smart person, you would not know because, like, you have no context when you're out in this, the woods, right?
Right.
So, like, he's a very potent magician and obviously potent swordsman as well, but with no other context, like what the heck he's supposed to do. So
right. So
continue on.
I think it's really what it was for me was, even though he found out later the gravity of the people that he was exposed to, the advantages he has basically been given in terms of tutelage and in education and experience. Even after that, he kind of brushes it off a little bit. Like, he doesn't get the gravity when he's told that, oh, your swords teacher, Mr. Michael, the Michael Collins, like, that's the former commander of the Knights Order. Like, you were taught by the literal best. And he's like, oh, I thought that was just some bum that I knew.
Right, but I mean, once again, zero context. Like, he has no idea of what this world actually knows. And that's another problem. Growing up with Merlin, who just loves magic and does like crazy shiz all the time, he has no concept of what's like a normal level magician, like what magic is traditionally known and what magic is traditionally like out of reach.
Right.
And I think one part that they did a poor job of, well, there's plenty of parts that were poor, but one part they did a really poor job of was with Merlita, or whatever her name is. She has the ability to basically write scripts on clothing, and then it will be imbued with that ability or whatever it is, right?
Shiny coat.
But they do a very, very poor job, in my opinion, of like showing you what that is, like what that is really.
Yeah, and
like all the other magic makes sense. They use like science that you can understand. Like,
right.
He creates this jutsu. This magic that the world hasn't seen before. It's transportation magic. And he basically, like, think about the piece of paper that you curl up and then poke a pencil through it. That's how he does it. He just uses, like, the two end locations, and he just puts them next to each other in, I don't know, whatever magic world in his brain.
Right. They really talk a lot about
that to happen.
Right. Visualization of magic.
Right.
That's been a huge thing. And before, they were doing these kind of grandiose chants, very high fantasy stuff. And then Shin would come out and just be like, and just like blow some shit up.
He did that with no chant.
Whoa! And that's why he freaked out. I was like, why is everybody chanting? Like, why is this a thing? So when he's at this school, he then meets a bunch of people.
That's pretty interesting. Okay, so if it's all about visualization, the chant is just helping you visualize.
That's how they did it.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So that felt very archaic to him.
I missed that, folks.
You got sharp eyes over here. No, but he's at the school, right? And he starts, basically, the first thing he does when he gets into the city is he beats up those muggers that were attacking those two chicks.
Yeah, so that it was weird.
Yeah. So then we find out later that they are
they're also gonna go to the Mage Academy, and they're nobles.
They're nobles, so they are rich as fuck. Like, they are super wealthy. And it seems like all the royals in this world and the nobles have like a trade, because didn't they all have like, oh, we have like a hot spring like town, almost like a region.
Yeah,
or we have this region.
To me, it kind of seemed like you remember Hunger Games, where there was, depending on the district, was a different like industry
That had a narrative.
It has like kind of that vibe. Like, I forget their freaking name, Claude or whatever.
Claude is a Sicilian.
Yeah, Shijidi, Claude. Yeah,
Sicilian.
her.
And who's the red haired chick? She's the one who's always wanted it because she can't get a man.
Yeah, which I don't know why, but anywho.
Well, yeah, right. That's a good segue into one of the things I think they did kind of meh was the romance in this show.
You know, I agree, but let's just quickly finish that. So after that,
Scatterbrain, this show
they instantly like fall in love, him and Claude, Sicilian, and then they go to the Mage Academy, and Merlin and Melita, God, her name sucks.
We can look it up.
Please do.
Oh, we look it up. Okay, keep going.
They actually have a residence within the kingdom, because obviously they're the grand heroes, and that's where like their home base is now. And they take the king, Augustus whatever his name is, Earlshied.
Who's this person?
The king.
The king? Oh, Earlshield.
Yeah, but it's Augustus, right?
Yeah, Augustus is the prince, right?
I thought he was the 9th, and then he's the 10th.
Oh, then I can buy that. Yeah, that's probably.
Anywho, so they take the king aside and they say, "Look, he's gonna go and join your school, but you cannot use him for military like strength and gain."
That I found that's actually a highlight of the show for me.
For sure,
was how at least Merlin had an understanding, and like all the people that knew Merlin and what Shin could do were very in tune with his context, even if Shin wasn't. So they were like, the military, if we were to get them, would shift the power so far that we would probably be our own ruin, because they would try to militarize him. And I loved that they had kind of a negative view of political and military systems in this world.
Yeah, I mean, because basically if you've got Shin out there, you just take over the rest of the world, right? So, or maybe they thought, you know, the rest of the kingdoms would find out they have this power and come and try to take it, that kind of thing, and just started big old wars all over the place. I think from a early perspective, that made a ton of sense. And then, I don't know, I kind of hated that they lost the lead on that.
Yes.
Like as a city, the season went on. So just quickly trying to finish off like a quick little plot. The Chilean chick that he saves, he ends up falling in love with and getting engaged to her.
Yeah, in the span of like 2 episodes.
Yeah, it was pretty whack. And then, so basically what they decided is he's going to be a noble of this land. He defeats this demonoid that was a classmate of theirs that was transformed into a demonoid.
Kurt.
Yeah, he was kind of a dick.
He was a dick. Then he became a demon dick.
Yeah, so he kicks his ass super fast, and they make him now the new hero. And so he's got his own residence, you know, and anywho, he was basically they are betrothed to each other, and then he decides, I'm going to do whatever I want to protect this land. And it's just kind of like, Merlin and Merlita set up this very specific bounds to like keep you from doing that. And then he militarizes a group of kids to be stronger than the rest of the world.
Literally, he makes a study group, and because Shin is so good at magic, just these kids, by his tutelage, become stronger than any court magician, anything. They're literally the strongest beings in this world that isn't a demon, I guess.
That we know of. They're like all archmages now, and it's like, okay.
Oh my gosh. And
so like from a power escalation standpoint, it got way out of hand, but that's what they're going for, right?
Yeah.
This show really lends itself to like the power fantasy of just like super escalation. And then they try to throw in this weird romance that didn't land, at least for me and you, obviously.
I had a thought about why. And I don't think that the romance...
Tumblr bait,
a little bit of Tumblr bait. But also it's like, that feels like a lot of the plot points in the show were all half measures. You know, this romance felt like it wedged itself into the overarching story. Like they had a good demonoid thing going on, and then it's almost like you heard a record skip. Oh, and now they're gonna fall in love. Ha ha ha! Let's take 3 episodes to not even focus on the main.
Yeah, it was really
stakes.
Aggressively hard shift away from like what was actually going on. So I agree with you there. That was like super not cool in my opinion.
A show that may have done this better was Sword Art Online, weirdly enough, because they do take a shift. They do take a shift in Asuna and Kirito's like relationship, and but it felt like it kind of organically worked its way in and out of the story. But this one, like, they saw Sword Art Online do something like, yeah, write that down. Let's do that. That looks good. But they didn't give themselves the time or anything for this romance or any of these romances to kind of naturally occur. And I think
that's the other thing. Well, and this is a world where like it's like noble arranged marriages type deal too.
Oh yeah.
So like, I don't know. It kind of felt like they were trying to like harp on that because they kept bringing up the prince and his like betrothed.
Was it May? Or no, like May was his little sister.
I don't know.
Yeah, Elizabeth was his Augie's, as I'm calling him, Og's fiance. And it's very arranged. Yeah,
so I think kind of an interesting part of this kind of show, though, was it showed that everyone sort of has the ability to be trained up like Shin.
I did like that. That's kind of why I turned around on the whole, oh, Shin's got the brain of a high schooler, everyone's an idiot in medieval magic land. Yeah, that's where I turned around and I realized, okay, they can get there, and they kept harping on visualization techniques for their magic.
Well, because even May, the prince's younger sister, like,
she was good.
She taught herself how to fly or whatever once he explained, like, the basics, right?
Right.
So I think from it was hard to say like a training arc because there was and wasn't. It was just kind of him showing like insane feats,
right?
And then them like having to figure it out from there.
And a lot of what we're saying, I mean, it almost as if the writer's room had a checklist for a proper isekai, but they just wanted to check them off as quickly as possible. Everything seemed like it was there, right? We have our OP main character. We have, legends surrounding him. Special in the terms of the power system, and some love interests in there, and a threat that's threatening this world that he's become a part of. Yet none of it felt like they delivered full master, like kind of like got all the way through with any of them. It felt all kind of just dashed together. Do you really feel any cohesion in this?
I agree with that.
Yeah. I don't know what to make of it.
What I was excited about was like potentially the foreign countries finding out about him and like this group and like that kind of strife that I assumed was going to happen. But like we said in the beginning, it was only 12 episodes, and I feel like they were literally just about to go do that, and then they cut it off. I don't know, maybe because of what we're saying, the lack of cohesion, the like hitting all these checklists, maybe the studio was just like, let's see if they like it after 12, with our like kind of half effort.
Oh, interesting. So you almost feel like that this first season was a glorified pilot.
100% think that was true.
I get that vibe. That's a good way to put it, because it really was like, it was this weird showcase, and the studio was Silverlink, and they did a lot of like kind of Fate spin-off-y type stuff, which is their main claim to fame. And don't get me wrong, the animation was good. There was some good moments of decent animation in this, and it looked clean, but nothing, it didn't strike me as special. And I mean, I can't tell if that's a merits the isekai genre in general and its state right now, but I almost feel like that's not true, because we've had shows like Rising of the Shield Hero and other isekais lately that kind of, and Reincarnated as a Slime, carved their own niche. I can't tell if this show even wanted to do that. It didn't even make any stride to be different. Yeah, right? It's conflicting. It's a weird show to try to like, and I'm trying to give it the benefit of the doubt.
I mean, there was nothing like really different, but there was, I don't know. I don't know if their goal was just to make an enjoyable show, because I think it was enjoyable for the most part.
It was candy.
But it wasn't like a good show.
It was easy. Yeah, it was. If you guys got, I don't know, 4 hours to kill on a weekend, and you do kind of like that isekai big power fantasy, I recommend giving it a look-see. I mean, and it might, if anything, it's a good education to show like, this is like your standard issue. You could almost sweep it under the rug isekai with the rest of them.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think if it was me rating it, and it is, I would give it probably like a 65.
Hey, I was gonna say like a 60 to 65 as well. I don't know if I'd go as high as a 65 though.
I'll say 65 just for the hope that they maybe this was a pilot, and they'll tighten it up and like actually give you like the plot that you were hoping for from this season, the next one. That's kind of where I'm at. But from all the stuff I saw online, like on YouTube and stuff like that, there was clips of like Shin showing his strength, and everyone was freaking losing their gourds over it. So I think I would have to assume they are going to give it a second season, just because everyone was like super on it.
And the thing is, it has all the right beats to make for a really good second season. What you said about the other kingdoms, prime. I think that they went really heavy with Shin's presence as a political, military type, complete shifting or rifting those systems in this world. Play on that. You had that. You had a good game going. Play on that. And if you want to go the demonoid route, which I didn't quite understand the demonoids, right? Like,
what about them?
So do they just like, if you get sad or angry enough, do you just emerge as a demonoid?
Not a single clue. That's
what Zest did. That the white-haired main leader of the group, his backstory, spoilers, I guess, but he held a huge grudge against the commoners and nobles of his empire, and he was in line to be the emperor. But the other nobles did not like how well he treated commoners. So
Yeah, but I thought it was like something like the classic idea of being possessed by a demon. Like you had to go touch some like vase or something like that.
he just emerged as it. He just, oh, I'm so
All right,
pissed
well,
off.
that was bad then.
Yeah. So I don't know. And then he instantly unlocked on like an insane amount of power. So can anybody do this? And they still seem like they kept their humanity in some way. Like they may be shitheads, but they're still thinking like people. So I don't know. The demonoids are not very well defined for a main antagonist. It
Yeah,
should have been
I
way
agree.
better fleshed out.
And I also didn't care about him at all.
They didn't. That's the thing. The stakes.
But he did show you that like Shin isn't undeniably the best. Like there is still challengers, which was helpful to the plot.
Right. And I think the last thing that really got me were the stakes. The stakes were mentioned to be world-ending, cataclysmic, but it was all through exposition. Nothing about the plot ever, like nothing about the actions inside the plot themselves kind of made you feel, oh, damn, these demonoids are actually world-ending threats. We were just told that over and over and over again. And what's the worst thing they did? Knock a city out? Maybe an empire?
Yeah.
And so I don't know.
I mean, that's like not that small of a thing.
It isn't,
yeah.
but
well, I mean, they did attack that other Earlshied like city as well.
right.
So they overthrew an empire and then also attacked theirs.
Is the Kingdom of Swede? Is that what the
Yeah,
neighboring Kingdom of Swede? And Swede got hammered.
Yeah, they got wrecked, dude.
But yeah, so I mean, hey, if you guys like isekais, I'm not gonna say don't watch it. You don't expect anything special here. I have a little bit of hope for season 2, but I would have to see some crazy reactions online for me to jump back into it. There are plenty of other better anime that are coming out right now in the next season that are definitely worth your time. Final thoughts. I mean, you were kind of really liking it initially.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I enjoyed it. Like it was largely watchable.
Do you feel that my initial assessment of how much I didn't like it was not correct? I guess maybe I had the wrong reasons for why I didn't like it.
Your reason was really stupid, but other than that, like if you had told me you didn't like it just because you didn't like it, I would have been honestly way hyper and like okay with that.
No.
But you didn't like it because everyone else in the world didn't know science in a medieval time. I was like, wow, really interesting point, Ricky.
It's not that I didn't think it was believable. I bet that's exactly how it would go. But it's not satisfying for me as someone wanting my power fantasy fix that the reason why he's so powerful is because he has the same, GED level education that I do. I mean, aside from my weebology doctorate, obviously. So, but I've come around to it. There's other more legitimate reasons to think it's a little bit lackluster, but you got 3-4 hours and you like yourself a good isekai, give it a watch. I recommend it. At least for for what it is.
Yes, now moving on.
Mm-hmm.
Over underrated. Go ahead, Ricky.
You want me to do it?
Yeah.
Okay. So today, our over-under debate, where we take a character from a popular show, and then despite our feelings on this character, me and Ethan will take a side to argue if the character is overrated or underrated. And today we are doing Saitama's single disciple, the demon cyborg Genos. And I will be taking the underrated today. And he's going to try overrated.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. He's overrated, so this should be pretty easy.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. But underrated. So if you look at his backstory, he was a kid who had his family killed at 15 by a cyborg.
Cry me a river.
Oh my gosh. And what did he do to
Cried
get
him
back?
A river.
Cried a river, I guess, to the doctor,
Yeah.
who made him into the thing that he despised most and that killed his family, a cyborg himself. And he wants to become a top hero to get back at the entities or the forces that be that killed his family. And in just 4 years from that incident, he has gotten strong enough to instantly get placed into S-Class. Instantly get placed. So whether or not he is, destined to stay at that level in S or keep rising, which I think he continues to do, the strongest man in the world right now, Saitama, only made it to C, even if he is undervalued, underappreciated. Genos went right to S, and his body count, if you do look at who he has defeated more people than he has gotten defeated, just by sheer numbers of monsters beaten. I've heard a couple arguments where it's like, oh, he gets mollywopped a lot, but he is surrounded by Saitama, who attracts god-level threats and insane-level threats. So he keeps getting smacked in the hopes that, in the plot hopes that Saitama shows up and saves the day, as he tends to do. But he's fast enough to keep up with Speed of Sound Sonic. He is able to at least spar in some capacity with Saitama and survive. I mean, Tank Top Master tried to do the same shit, and with one hand grab, got down on his knees and couldn't fight anymore. Where Genos, even if he gets beat up, he is still so rebuildable that even when he gets beat up, he almost gets a Zenkai boost, Dragon Ball Z style, from the doctor. Oh, I have new parts. I'm going to make you even stronger every single time. He is your standard shonen progression, but he is the one that I feel that more people root for because he has kind of that spirit, that backstory, that really, promising character development that we don't really kind of get with Saitama. He provides that as a character. He is kind of he's our proper character development we kind of latch onto. He kind of has that same Moomin Rider feel to him, but he's not getting beat up as much as Moomin Rider. But yeah, I think he's wicked strong. He's an actual prodigy. He is built and continues to get built to get stronger, and he is now in the upper echelon of heroes. Even despite Saitama not getting there, and probably really should be there, Demon Cyborg has a huge reputation for being one of the strongest heroes in the series. So he's highly undervalued because of that reason.
So you're done now?
Yeah.
Okay, guys.
I'm salivating to rebuke you.
There's a lot of problems with Genos. Number one, I personally think he's boring AF. I don't see the point of him. There's multiple other cyborg type S-class heroes. They just don't fawn all over, Saitama, right? Yeah. Drive Knight's way cooler. Kid Emperor is really cool. Nobody knows about Blast or whatever. I don't know. To me, first of all, the fact that he keeps getting rebuilt stronger, I don't think makes him underrated. I think that might make Dr. Kusuno underrated. My problem is when you talked about his various victories and things like that, you have to think of, I don't know, I think of everything in power levels and forms like you would with Dragon Ball Z, right? Super Saiyan 1 Gohan would get wrecked by Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, and even though he barely beat someone at Super Saiyan 1, the person that he barely beat at Super Saiyan 2 is probably stronger type deal, right?
Okay.
So for me, what's really you said, and I looked this up too, his win-loss ratio is actually better than you expected it to be.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the problem is what it doesn't tell you when you look at just the win-loss is the battle damage incurred, because if it wasn't, there's a reason that it's a meme that Genos can't get out of a fight without having to be rebuilt, right? He straight up does not survive a fight in good health, not a single time. I was reading through the list of all the engagements he was in that he won, and one was the Meteor engagement. It claimed it was a victory, and it was him, Bang, and whoever else.
I think it was just Saitama too.
Saitama and all these dudes just killed these meteors, and then at the very end, I don't even know exactly what happened. I just don't remember. It was season 1, and that was 4 years ago now. I think he attacks Bang, or Bang accidentally hits him or something, and he just gets splattered against a wall.
Who does? So during the meteor scene?
Yeah, no, they beat the meteor or whatever.
Yeah.
And then he gets splattered against a wall, and he's dead.
I think that's the Sea King. No, because I thought during the meteor he basically tries to use his entire energy supply in a blast, and then he basically fails, and he's basically running out of juice. And then Saitama jumps up, hits meteor, splashes all over City Z, and then the scene ends with Saitama's like, "Oh shit."
No, I don't remember who kicked his ass, but somebody at the very end. I want to say it's Bang.
Maybe Bang get it.
I don't know why, but anyway, he smacks him into a wall, and he's like broke all his arms and stuff like that. Oh, this is what happens. Bang asks Saitama for a duel, like a fight.
Okay.
To like, because he wants him to join his dojo. Well, Saitama's like, no, fight Genos.
Oh,
and
that
then
scene.
Gets spanked.
He gets spanked. He does.
And like sprayed all over the wall type deal. So to me, like a victory isn't super like impressive because he's just gonna go get rebuilt. Like think of other S-class heroes. Think of even the ones below him, right? So I think when he starts off, he gets ranked 15 or something like that.
Yeah.
So there's Tank Top Master, and there's Puri Prisoner, and maybe like a couple more that are below him.
Yeah, maybe at the end of like when he climbs, is he above Metal Bat yet?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay,
Metal Bat's below him as well. The difference between Genos and those three is they have to like not get killed. You know what I mean? Like it is not impressive to me that he comes out every fight and just blows his load essentially.
He does. Machine gun blows.
Right, and then he gets dismantled every fight, and he might have won, but if he wasn't a cyborg, he's done. That kind of thing. Like Puri Prisoner is more of a hero in my opinion because he's putting something on the line. Like this dude is putting absolutely nothing on the line, and he's absolutely like getting wrecked every time. He might be abating the threat slightly. He's also getting off-screen quite a few times, at least in Season 2. I know Goketsuku kicks his ass. There's a couple other that do, like, off-screen him.
I think Elder Centipede kind of crushed him, too.
Yeah,
Why am I helping you? No, keep going. Like, helping you in your argument.
I was going to say that, too. But, anywho, from, like, a compelling character perspective, I don't think he's way overrated in that regard. Like, people fawn all over him, and I find nothing compelling about him. The only thing that's cool is that he keeps like asking Saitama like for wisdom, and Saitama's like, "Yeah, dude, all I did was I ran a 10K, I freaking did 100 push-ups, and I did 100 sit-ups every day. Like that's literally it, dude. Like,
Can't forget about your squats.
I don't know what to tell you." And then Elder Centipede. He tries to fight him. He gets dismantled essentially, and I think he's out like one arm and one leg or something at the end of the fight. And he asks Saitama, he's like, "Master, what did I not do?" And he's like, "I guess you didn't try hard enough."
Yeah, I remember that. It's actually pretty funny that he writes it down like it's gold.
Yeah, he just claps him up pretty hard right there. Pretty savage on Saitama's part, but. Yeah, I don't know. There's just not really anything compelling about his character. I got no real stakes because they don't let him like just die like he should. They rebuild him no matter what, so it's not impressive from a hero perspective. And I don't know. There's something I think different about this philosophies of Saitama and Genos. Like Saitama's doing hero work like for fun, but also just to like be a hero. Genos is doing it for like straight up revenge. Like there's no real point to Genos being an S-class hero. He's only there so he can try to get as much information and whatever. And then in the first season, Drive Knight tells him, "Hey, be careful." Like actually, was it Drive Knight or was it the other dude?
It was Drive Knight saying, "Watch out for Metal Knight."
Yeah, Metal Knight.
Drive Knight was Kid Emperor's invention, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And he's so good at invention. He's actually top 15, I think, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. So anywho, there's multiple other cyborgs above him, and they don't seem to be dismantling and getting rebuilt every fight. So yes, his win-loss is fairly impressive, but what they do not say, like I said before, is you can win a fight, but then if you're not a cyborg, you'd be dead. Type deal. Like I think even the first couple of fights he's in, he would have lost had he not been a cyborg. And then there's like, I guess, a question, right? Are you really the hero if you're being rebuilt by Dr. Kusuno, or is Dr. Kusuno the hero? It's an interesting thought.
That's an interesting thought too, because it.
Well, I'm done, so we can continue.
Okay, yeah. But yeah, so your main argument is that for Genos, there's nothing really on the line. Do you think that maybe it's just he is putting, like, if his core gets broken, there's no coming back from that. That's just it.
Yeah, my problem is his core should have been broken in all this battle damage he's got. They're just like plot armoring him.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. I feel like that he's still fighting, because I don't know if the revenge thing is his fuel motivator as much anymore, because when he does fight for the citizens, he is fighting to protect, not to, oh, like, you are the embodiment of, like, who killed my family or whatever. He is trying to be genuinely a proper hero. If he was really that revenge bound, or
I don't know,
trying
I think he does a lot of, like, collateral damage, like destroying cities type deal. Like,
however, when he did fight against the Queen Mosquito chick, he did make sure before he incinerated the entire, like, horde, the swarm, that there were no people within like a couple hundred meters in any direction. And Saitama got there so quick that he couldn't see him coming. That's the only reason why Saitama got caught up in that blast. So I think he has a genuine concern for the citizens. Collateral damage, yeah, I can give you that one. But I think if he were truly a hero for revenge and only revenge, he wouldn't give a shit about what he did to the people, you know?
Well, he's going to get kicked out of S-Class if he starts killing a bunch of people, I think is really the point. I think there's... Also, he's got a flaw in his philosophy. He sees Saitama knocking everyone in one hit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he thinks power is the only answer. So every time he goes to Dr. Kusuno, he's looking for more power rather than, like, I don't know, speed, nuance, whatever, with his already gotten power.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, you have to, as a viewer, think like, I don't know, he just seems very one-dimensional as a character. Like, he only cares about being equipped with a bigger incinerator cannon. Or
I want more blows in my machine gun blows, please.
Like,
Thank you.
I would say he was definitely cool.
Yeah.
When he fought in the cutoff sweatshirt against Garo, who was already super hurt. So, like, that's nothing very special.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was sick when he, like, used his boosters to fly back up.
That was rad.
That was really rad. And I don't know, like,
I think a lot of what you said about him being one-dimensional and he has flaws in his personality, I think that's why I consider him a little underrated, because he's supposed to be that shonen main character archetype, and I guess that flatness feels intentional. It feels a little bit intentional, because I get beat up, I get so beat up I can't even move, I need more power, rinse and repeat. This seems to be a common formula in old shonen tropes, and that's the whole One Punch Man formula, is that it's supposed to be this big commentary on the genre as a whole and different characters found within. And Genos plays the role of that perfect stereotypical main character power escalation dude, and it's juxtaposed against Saitama's literal god strength that he keeps. Every increment is like a drop in the bucket compared to what Saitama can do casually. So him getting wrecked, it all kind of works into his character. And he's underrated because he plays all those parts, I think, very, very well. I'm curious about the flaws in him. I can't tell if that's, laziness or that was designed, as a character.
I think it's definitely designed. He's designed to be a doormat, and he is a doormat. That's why he's overrated, right? Here, I'll put it this way. If only season 1 existed, he's not S-Class hero.
Interesting.
The fact in season 2 that they showed you A-Class heroes, and they're all kind of absolute nothings.
Garbo.
Except for a Mai Mask, who's actually like a straight up god.
I think he didn't not want to be S so he can stay at the top of A to do his like movie shit, music shit. Yeah. Interesting.
I'm just saying he is not like, I don't know. I think unless you have other people to base him off of, he's not really S-Class in season 1, right? And then like season 2, like at that point, like you said, so many Zenkai boosts, and he's been rebuilt like a gajillion times. You're essentially not talking about the same cyborg you talked about from season 1.
That is true.
You know, that kind of thing. I don't know. I think he's overrated because he is more of a creation, less of a hero, in my opinion. I think, you know, you look at Drive Knight, who was, you know, Child Emperor, whoever that dude's like friendo was. I think he's one of their creations, and then he just decided to go solo.
But does this make Metal Knight any less of a hero then? By that logic? He's technically a better hero than Genos, right? Because Metal Knight, we've shown kind of glimpses of him in season 2 that he's kind of fighting from like a command center. He's never really in harm's way. Is Metal Knight any less of a hero than Genos? That's an interesting question.
I think they're both the same amount of hero. I don't think I do not think Genos is a hero because I don't think he has like any real, like you said, like nothing on the line, just like Metal Knight.
Interesting.
I guess this debate will never be answered.
I don't know if it ever will be, but if you want my honest opinion, aside from what side we chose, I think he's a little overrated too. I really do.
Good, because so do I.
Yeah, so like when I chose underrated, I'm like, oh man, but he's like super strong. And as I'm looking more into him, I'm like, yeah, but it's what you kind of said. If really what he wants is revenge, why is he a hero?
That's my question.
Why is he? Why did he ever join?
It's contradictory.
The hero association.
Unless it's just to be able to fight stronger people.
Then sure. I mean, couldn't you seek that out on your own? I don't know. It feels odd to me that he finds that this is the path to, I guess, redemption or revenge for his family. This seems like the wrong way to do it. But now that he is a hero and he did make S-Class, you would think, I hate that he was written to be the doormat you talked about, because I think aesthetically he is super, super cool. He's a super cool character.
Yeah, he's cool, but I think, like you're saying, he's written to be this doormat, and I don't know. I think he's written to feel underwhelming. I think he is literally written to be overrated, because as the viewer, we are literally watching Saitama be grossly underrated,
right,
as the strongest being on Earth as far as we know. We don't know what Blast's deal is,
right? And he's kind of that's the thing. Genos is meant to be the flashy boy. He's meant to be the guy with all the combo moves.
Well, I didn't even mention this, but I think later he actually rises up to rank 7 or something like that.
Oh yeah,
and that means Flashy Flash,
yeah,
Watchdog Man, Zombie Man. All these guys are ranked lower than him, and it's
which is insane to me, right? Like, you would think Watchdog Man would probably kick his ass,
right?
Dude.
And
yeah.
I think he really freaking would.
Yeah,
and Zombie Man's literally invincible, so I don't get the point of that.
Yeah, so I think it's unfortunate that a character as cool as Genos never really got a moment of like, my storyline has had a milestone. He never gets a milestone. He's a demon doormat, sadly, and I don't know if one designed him that way or not to be that way, but I think they could have used him more. There's more there to be done. So, man, were you right today?
Well, because I think the only thing that was like a saving grace for the underrated approach was his win-loss record.
It's better than you think, isn't it?
Well, it's hard to like argue it, and then I just had to take this stance of like, yeah, but he, like, if he's not a cyborg, his win-loss ends at 1 win.
That's a good point,
because he's completely rebuilt every time. Right,
and I wonder if he fights the way he does, close combo, like machine gun blows, we've been saying, he gets in there really close combat, because he knows if he loses an arm or a leg, he's good. Would you fight, if you were in his shoes, would you fight knowing you would be more rebuildable than the average person?
Well, that's what I mean. Like, that's why I think Peri Prisoner, Metal Bat, all those dudes below him are actually better heroes, quote unquote.
They get in the same way, fighting style almost, but they don't have the same.
Well,
luxury.
No, but like, they have to protect themselves in a way that allows them to fight the next battle.
Right. Interesting.
So
thoughts.
that's my points.
So can we say that the Doctor is the real underrated one here?
For sure.
He is that mushroom head is covering an enormously large brain, because I don't know how or why he is allowed basically Genosis's pet project.
Where did he get the money?
Right. Is he like this Dr. Eggman type where he just like
be
massive?
No, he's Capsule Corp. He's Bulma's dad.
Yeah, where the hell did he get the money from? Oh, I use my capsules to steal everything from my company. What awesome tech. So man.
All right, folks. That was fun. Please like, comment, subscribe if you are on YouTube right now. We are filming these podcast episodes now.
Yes, please.
If you would like to see our faces and or other things around my apartment / laboratory, feel free to watch that on YouTube.
Yeah, we're in the holodeck of the laboratory out in the middle of the ocean, and we actually made it look just like Ethan's apartment. Just to keep it cozy.
Pretty crazy.
Just
right?
keep it cozy. So also, if you want to listen to any of the podcast itself, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, or anywhere else you go and find your audio content, specifically podcasts. But maybe we'll come out with a Weeb album in the next couple decades. Would you want to do an album, Ethan? Like a rap album?
I wouldn't do a rap album, but I could do like a real weird like lo-fi anime mix.
Ooh.
There's actually a dude I'm a fan of, and I'll just give him some free promotion because he's the boy. His name's Rude. It's like R-U with an O umlaut or something above it, and then D-E. And he does a lot of like Japanese infusion, like lo-fi hip-hop type deal.
That's really
it's
cool.
also got like takes some of the Naruto scenes and makes lo-fi out of them, like with like Naruto show vocals and stuff like that.
That's actually really cool. I'll have
Yeah.
to look him up. So yeah,
Eat a boy.
Rude.
Also, we have an Instagram. Please follow us on there.
Yeah, memes be popping.
Hella memes, and we also post some like midweek updates occasionally when we have the wherewithal to do that.
Yeah, we got our 9-to-5s, but this is our real ambition. This is our real passion out here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank y'all so much for listening today.
Yes.
I'm Ricky.
And I'm Ethan.
And this has been Weebology. Pieces.
Obtuses.
Obtuses.
I don't know,
that.
man. I'm running out.
I like that a lot.